doubt that times are still tough.
To turn around the worst economic slump in generations.
The growing spending of the Rudd government is going to slow a recovery.
2009 will be an awful year.
It means that we are in the midst of the deepest global recession in three-quarters of a century.
There are serious concerns about the health of the financial
Today's tragic
a global
increase in unemployment.
Predicts unemployment could well hit more than 9% by next year.
Budget
This weekend,
in our lifetime.
it's pretty clear that this recession is deep.
It's been dubbed the Great Recession. The collapse of Lehman Brothers just 8 months ago shattered confidence in the financial system. The world market crumbled and in Australia the boom turned to bust. So the age of surpluses is over and tonight's budget is tipped to post the largest deficit in Australia's history and forecast 1 million unemployed. It will also have to plot a credible path to recovery, and that means balancing more short-term spending with deep cuts. There's rarely been a more anticipated budget speech, and when it's finished we'll bring you comprehensive ABC analysis of the numbers. Now to the House of Representatives and the Treasurer, Wayne Swan.
The Clerk.
Government business. Appropriation Bill number 1, 2009-2010.
The Treasurer.
Mr Speaker, I present the Appropriation Bill number 1, 2009-2010.
Order, and I have received a message from Her Excellency the Governor-General recommending, in accordance with Section 56 of the Constitution, an appropriation for the purposes of the Appropriation Bill number 1, 2009-2010. Clerk.
First reading, a bill for an act to appropriate money out of the Consolidated Revenue Fund for the ordinary annual services of the government and for related purposes.
The Treasurer.
Mr Speaker, I move that the bill now be read a second time. This budget is forged in the fire of the most challenging global economic conditions since the Great Depression. It's a budget that supports jobs today by investing in the infrastructure we need for tomorrow. In the worst of economic times, it's a nation-building budget carefully crafted to bolster employment now, construct a solid foundation for future growth and position us to capitalise on the global recovery when it comes. The global recession has been unleashed on Australia with a brutal, uncompromising force. Since September last year, almost all major economies have gone into recession, dragging ours into recession as well. Others may be overwhelmed by the scope and the ferocity of the biggest global downturn in memory. But Australians are too strong, too resilient and too united to be overwhelmed. We know we can withstand the worst the world can throw at us. We know this global recession brings adversity, but it brings opportunity as well. And despite momentous challenges, we know we can emerge more productive and more prosperous than before this crisis began. And we know we are capable of this budget's one central task: nation building for recovery. But it will take time. It will take discipline. It will take hard choices, doing more with less. And it will take determination and foresight to invest now in the building blocks of long-term growth and prosperity. To the Australian people, I say this is not an easy budget for easy times. These are complex times, and the task in this budget is complex as well. Spending to stimulate the economy now to support jobs, but finding long-term savings necessary for fiscal sustainability. Mr Speaker, the 2009 budget is framed with all these challenges in mind. It has at its core the biggest plan for nation-building investment in infrastructure since the Snowy Mountains scheme. Its focus is on an unprecedented push for jobs and productivity. built on roads, rail, ports and broadband that are the building blocks for sustainable growth. It invests in clean energy initiatives, flagship programs in solar energy and carbon capture, central to our vision for the low-pollution economy of the future. It continues to build our education revolution. The schools and universities and TAFEs and training places we need for the future. And it invests in world-class hospitals, research and innovation. And above all, it delivers the fair go our pensioners deserve and sustainability for the pension system into the future. It also increases the tax break small businesses need to invest in difficult times, and it establishes an historic system of paid parental leave and delivers tax cuts for working families. It ensures our Defence Forces have a strong and sustainable funding base, and it contains the hard choices that chart the course back to surplus. Mr Speaker, this time last year I spoke of the need to build a buffer against international turbulence. But since then we've seen a downturn in global economic conditions unprecedented in our lifetimes. Virtually every advanced economy is expected to suffer a deep recession in 2009. Events have unfolded with astounding speed. In Australia, the mining boom is unwinding. Revenue, growth and employment have been hit hard. Our gross domestic product will fall by 0.5% in 2009-10, recovering in 2010-11. The contraction is many times less than that experienced by other advanced economies, but it shows not even we can escape the impact of this global recession. The unemployment rate is expected to increase to 8.5% by June 2011. Again, less than the double-digit rates of other advanced economies, but still too high for this nation and too high for this government. Importantly, we face this challenge in a much stronger position than other countries. Our financial system is among the strongest in the world. Our public finances are among the strongest in the developed world. And our early and decisive action to support jobs and growth is working, protecting Australians from the pain of an even worse domestic downturn. Mr Speaker, the economic stimulus in this budget raises the level of GDP by 0.75% in 2009-10, when the economy is expected to be at its weakest. The measures in this budget build on the decisive action the government has taken since the extent of the global recession became clear. Action that will see 35,000 building sites spring up around the nation. Action that has cushioned the impact on Australia, ensuring the effects of this global recession are smaller than the impact borne by other comparable countries. In the absence of our efforts, the contraction would have been 4 times bigger, and our economy would be 2.75% smaller in 2009-10 and 1.5% smaller in 2010-11. Our actions are expected to support up to 210,000 jobs and reduce the peak in the unemployment rate by 1.5 percentage points below the double-digit peak it would reach if we listened to those opposite who said we should do nothing.